Shooters, you are now in your prep time. Your prep time has ended. With the magazine of 15 rounds making condition one weapon. Is the line ready? The line is ready. Shooters firing 5 rounds in a time limit of 60 seconds. Stand by. Contact. Stand by. Contact. Cease fire. Stand by. Contact. Cease fire.
Pit Talk is a podcast featuring active service members to discuss their thoughts and opinions on various issues surrounding military life, current events, and history. The statements heard here are the opinions of its members and guests. These do not necessarily reflect the views of the Department of Defense and are not endorsed or sponsored in any way. Listener, viewer discretion advised.
This session is brought to you by Aloha Puddin'. The only aloha you need is Aloha Puddin'. Find them at alohapuddin.com. That's aloha, PUDDIN.com. I Got Next, the app for athletes, helping athletes find pickup games in their area. Find them at igotnextshop.com. That's igotnextshop.com.
Good morning, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Pit Talk, Pulling Pits and Opinions with your host, Gunnery Sergeant Israel Garcia on the mic. Big Is, G Money, whatever you want to call me, I'm here. I am here again. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a very special guest by the name of Staff Sergeant Roman Popkov. Say hello.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, viewers. That whole debacle. I think it's very interesting that you used a Spanish accent to use on my Russian name.
I just said say hello.
I said hello.
That's it? Just say hello.
No reason to scream? Okay.
All right.
Fine.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got the Drill Instructor Session 1. In the midst of the HSST, as everybody knows, March 1st is coming out. So all these prime candidates are getting selected. Staff Sergeant Roman Popkov, can you give a little bit of insight about Roman, where you come from, Marine Corps background, how long you've been in, so on and so forth. Hit it.
Of course. So obviously Roman Popkov, Russian by nature, joined the military back in 2008. Was out of Washington State. It was good times. When it came to what I wanted to do, I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up, so I decided to do the first thing that everybody wants to do when they think about the military. I'm going to drive a big truck. So after big truck driving, I was stationed in North Carolina, went to Okinawa, spent some time on Camp Foster, things like that, and then went to the depot as a drill instructor.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. 3 years, MCRD San Diego, a couple different billets, a couple different hats, got to experience quite a few different things. And then after that, came here to Marine Corps Base, Hawaii. And now I get to spend these glorious moments with you.
That's awesome. I'm privileged. Thank you for coming out and taking the time to be on this podcast, letting the Marines know, everybody know, I'm a little biased. We have the hardest, most demanding special duty assignment in the armed forces. Do you agree?
Yes, recruiting is very intense.
But as a drill instructor, okay, so this session is about the drill instructor. All right. Everybody wants to know about the Smokey Bear, right? But you only get the full experience if you go, right? Basically. But your experience, Roman, can I call you that?
Of course.
Formerly known as Roman Popkov.
Formerly.
Your Staff Sergeant Popkov.
That's correct.
Roman, can you tell me a little bit about DI school? How you checked in? Let's start there.
Okay, so showed up, checked in, checking in alphas, the normal way you would check into a formal school, and you get.
Was it intense?
It was at first. It was super calm. They just wanted to get you guys off the bus, get you guys everybody into the building, and then as you're checking in, then the yelling and the screaming started.
Wait, that was when you checked in?
Checked in.
Hell yes.
Checked in. So as we're walking into the building with our orders in hands, they're regurgitating specific ways that they want us to communicate with them. So it is not good to go. Things like that you would normally say in a fleet environment. You don't say stuff like that. So it was you say yes, staff sergeant, no, staff sergeant. Even if you were a staff sergeant, if you were a gunnery sergeant student, you would still say yes, staff sergeant, no, staff sergeant to the instructors.
Solid. Okay, so it's more of recruit depoisms now, or actually, you know what? Proper responses per se.
Yes.
Was it? Were you sweating? Was it nervous for you? Was it different? You weren't used to doing all that right away.
So that was something new for me, especially since I don't think I was mentally prepared for exactly what I was getting into. My first day was interesting because they disqualified me when I first got there.
Hell yes.
So they disqualified me because
was it the blue eyes?
It was not the blue eyes.
Was it the bald head?
It was my gorgeous smile. I actually
fair enough.
I showed up with hair, which was a mistake.
What the frick?
No, I guess nobody. People failed to tell me that I needed to shave my head before I got there. You know, but that's neither here nor there. But it was actually the medical paperwork. It didn't say in my medical paperwork that I was fit for DI duty, which was a big deal.
Okay, fair enough. Obviously, you got that taken care of. I'm assuming.
No, definitely not. Doctor just signed off on it.
Fair enough. But you were good to go after that.
After that, I was good to go.
So DI school, how long is it?
So DI school is 3 months.
3 months.
Yes.
Can you tell me the first phase of DI school? Do you remember the first phase? I know it was a long time ago. For me too, it was a blur. I don't remember DI school as much as I remember the actual being in the trenches, right? I'm sure it's the same thing for you.
Yes. So first phase, that was getting the nitty gritty out of the way. So that was the random uniform inspections. That was the getting little to no time to get ready, and more or less just operating on the premise that you don't know what's happening next, even though they give you a training schedule and you operate on the off of the training schedule, but they don't give you enough time to get everything done, and the expectations are high. So you do sweat. It's a constant sweat. You're sweating in your uniform. You're sweating PT, running up early, working on the weekends, practicing drill on the weekends, things like that. But that's what I remember from first phase specifically.
And did you overall? It's just 3 months long. Do you do every PT session the recruits would do?
So yes, everything to include the more illicit ones like log drills and things of that nature.
Oh, those were a slayer.
Those were a slayer.
Even for me, those were slayer. I remember those.
Even for you, but I mean, you're a PT stud, so it's a little different.
I appreciate that.
Of course.
But they can't see me. They can see you.
It's okay. They can just imagine what you look like.
Oh, I like that. Well, continuing. PT. So we do all the PT the recruits do. I'm assuming it's because they want us to feel the same thing that the recruit's going to feel. So therefore, we can push through it. I'm assuming. Is that what you think it was for?
I think that's about 50% accurate. So yes, obviously you want to know that your body can handle it and things like that, but mostly it's to see that activity and see how they expect you to perform that activity when you are actually in the trenches.
So everything has a purpose through it, DI school.
I would say 95% of everything has a purpose in DI school.
It's 95. It's a good number. I don't really care about the 5%. 95% is good. Do the instructors, did they set a precedence right away?
They do 100%. So it's the expectation is if you are failing in a specific, or not necessarily failing, but if you're falling in a specific topic or a subject, you are expected to ask the other students before you talk to an instructor. The precedent there is you have to learn from each other. And then so there's some people that showed up, some Marines showed up, they were super confident when it comes to drill. Some people were confident with correspondence, things of that nature. But I mean, ultimately the precedence was set as you learn from each other, you endure together, and together you will make it through.
Solid. Were there more demanding DI instructors per se than others?
For sure.
Do you remember your DI drill instructors?
So I remember my squad instructor very well, actually. He was the fastest young gentleman, fastest staff sergeant.
Was he short?
There. He was not short. He was my height, but
I mean, you are relatively average.
So vertically challenged is the proper vernacular.
But
So
sure, all right. But he was stocky like you.
he was stocky, yes, but that man could run circles around all of us.
Was he Hispanic?
He was Hispanic.
Interesting. Continuing. So 3 months went by. Did you lose any weight?
I lost between 25 and 28 pounds in the first 2 months.
There's a lot of academics in DI school, yes?
There is.
And what are we learning as up-and-coming drill instructors? What are we learning?
Basic Marine Corps knowledge that I remember. Basic drill.
Okay. What about SOP?
So
RTO is what it's called now. I
It
think.
used to be the SOP. Now it's the recruit training order. That's
Right.
correct. But you learn that you have different tests on, and then obviously if you don't pass the test, you can't be a drill instructor. So
Right. So you do a lot of drill,
a lot of drill.
and those are called what? Teachbacks?
So the teachbacks wasn't drill. Teachbacks was a way for you to, again, that 50% of it was to slay your mind, your soul, and your spirit, and 50% of it so you were aware of what the grading requirements are for that specific.
So it had nothing to do with learning the drill movement.
It had some to do. Again,
Very small.
I would say a small portion.
But that's your opinion.
That is my opinion.
That's how you took it. That's fair. It's fair to say, though, because now that I think about it, that's fair to say. It was to slay your voice, because I remember taking 7 times 7 out there?
7 times 7.
7 times 7, and then screaming it back, and them just kind of smoking and joking at the back end. Like, I can't hear you, blah, blah, blah.
And
Right.
then also the aircraft, since we're so close to the airport, you just scream as loud as you can for as long as you can until the aircraft passes. And then
That's
are there any questions?
I hope that's a good secret. But
Don't tell anyone.
don't tell anyone. The next one would be, so that would not only be for drill, to learn drill, but it was more it had a purpose rather than just drill.
Yes.
That's good. Okay. Well, so it seems like it's pretty self-explanatory. DI school, 3 months. You learn all the PT movements, what it's supposed to look like, how you're supposed to scream. Do you ever go on the recruits when you're in DI school?
So there is a week that you get to observe from a distance, but you're not, at least that I remember. You go to the field, you get to see how they execute, but it's not a face-to-face interaction where you are actually doing those things until
RTO week,
which at that point you are executing normal drill instructor functions, just
with the 8 point
with an 8-point cover.
Man, I remember that. That was embarrassing, wasn't it?
Only a little bit.
Only a little bit for you. Only a little bit.
Well, I mean,
it was nervous for me. I was super nervous.
But I'm pretty sure that's everybody until you realize that they're not going to respond to you anyway.
That's a good point.
Because you're not wearing your.
You look like an idiot.
You do.
It's a humbling experience for sure.
100%.
Scream. Mm-hmm. Who are
Like,
you?
Are you talking to me?
Are you talking to me?
Do you want me to scream?
But it was all worth it. It was worth it. It had a purpose. It
definitely had a purpose. I think at that point you really learn that you either really are going to do this, or you realize at that point that you made a mistake.
Oh,
Your career choice.
but it's too late at that point. It's too late at that
You are
point.
committed.
So, relatively, as far as being hard, DI school, is it hard? Is it demanding? Is it as demanding as you thought it was going to be compared to the trenches?
No, I don't think so.
So
I think it's good. It's a good start. It's a good stepping stone, but it is. I don't think it prepares you mentally for what you're going to experience on the drill field, like in the actual trenches.
And again, I don't think it's supposed to. I think it's supposed to give you a good baseline.
That's correct.
I think we could agree on that. So it does give you a good baseline. Is it a humbling experience as a alpha male, so to speak, to go to DI school?
Yes, because you have to. At that point, you are back in student status. You are not necessarily a leader. At that point, you are a follower. Even if you've been used to being responsible for your MOS or your field of study, whatever that might be. At that point, you are a student. You are a hypothetical recruit that's already made it through boot camp.
Solid. Hypothetical recruit that's made it to boot camp. Solid. Actually, I agree with that. You're a hypothetical recruit that made it through boot camp. That's good. So long story short, I'd say DI school is kind of a, what's that called? In DI duty, I forget. Nobody can see my hand moving, but
Hidden movement.
glimpse or a blink compared to the trenches.
Oh yes, yeah. 3 months compared to 3 years. It's definitely a
So
big difference.
you took leave after DI school, 30 days, 45 days? When'd you get?
So I took 30 days of leave.
You took all 30?
No, not even close.
You didn't. You checked right in?
I checked right in.
You are wild. Well, do you recommend doing that?
No.
Yeah, take the leave. Ladies and gentlemen, first tool of DI duty, take the 45, take the 30, wherever you're coming from, take the entire time. Next point. So now you check in. You checking in alphas in the trenches? What's going on? Can you tell me a bit about your experience checking in to the trenches? What company, battalion were you with?
So 3rd Battalion, India Company.
3rd Battalion. Okay.
Fortunately, I checked in before a cycle started. It was 2 weeks prior to the actual pickup week.
Mm-hmm.
So I checked in with the first sergeant in alphas, and that was it. He just said, "You look like a sea bag full of doorknobs," because I just got off 30 days. Well, it was like
Sea bag what?
a sea bag full of doorknobs.
Sea bag full of donuts. So you were fat?
I was not fat, but I was not his idea of a
Image is everything in DI.
A chiseled.
You're pretty chiseled.
I'm gorgeous.
Fair enough. Continuing.
But so checked in alphas, first sergeant. After that, he just said, "Go change over," and then it's time to set up the house.
So it wasn't even, it was like, "Hey, welcome. Go change over. We got to go."
We have stuff to do. That's correct.
I remember a couple of the Marines I checked in with, they checked in right away. And they called this thing called bird dogging. Do you remember that?
Of course.
Can you tell me about bird dogging? What is that?
So
That term is a little weird for me. What is it? Can you explain that to the listeners what bird dogging is?
So are we talking about drill instructor bird dogging, or are we talking about bird dogging like when you have a dog and you're going hunting and things?
Bird dogging drill instructor duty.
Bird dogging drill instructor duty. That's when you are a temp loan to a platoon or a company, and you as a temp loan, you are not a signed off drill instructor. You are what they need as a go-getter. So you're the gopher. You are the one that runs around and screams for no apparent reason. You're still learning what to do. You don't get any credit for the cycle, but you do get to see the training days, whatever section of the training schedule you just happen to fall under.
Oof.
And then, so if I know a lot of the guys that graduated with me that went to 1st Battalion and 2nd Battalion, they began bird dogging. Some of them were bird dogging most of 2nd phase before their actual cycle started with their parent company.
Slay.
So there was no break for these guys.
That sucks.
But they did get to see.
They did get some good PT, right?
did, they
some good
did.
PT time. Okay.
Well, 2nd phase. This is before the 4-phase models.
That's right. It did change over
so
there.
they were up north for 2nd phase.
Oh, okay. So bird dogging is fun.
No, no, it is not.
It's not. Ladies and gentlemen, another tool. Bird dogging is not fun. Take the 45 days.
That is correct.
Okay. Next. So now that you're fully checked in, right? You're setting up the house. It takes, the week of prep week, right? It's just all these classes, sapper, this, that, the other.
That's correct.
RTO, basic refreshers.
Practicing the speech.
Practicing the speech. Well, not you, not us.
No.
Not the first guys that check in.
Practicing the snap and pop.
Is there roles in DI duty?
So be a little bit more specific. What do you mean
Roles
by
in
role?
terms of everybody has a role.
So everybody has a role. Everybody has a mission, something that they're supposed to do. It might not be what is acceptable because, again, even as a brand new drill instructor, yes, your role is to learn, but more or less your role, at least for me, when I was a brand new drill instructor on my first cycle, my role was to cause havoc. Complete and utter chaos, and my goal was just to learn the training schedule.
So if there was a number associated with you, say as a 5-man team, what number would you have been when you first did it? First cycle.
If there was a number associated, which being that we know there are no numbers associated with green belt drill instructors, I would have been a fifth. So you had 5 dudes on your team? If I had 5 dudes on my team.
So the number is associated with how many dudes on the team. And whether you have experience or not. It's nothing wrong with that, I think. But continuing, that's just my opinion. I don't think there's anything wrong with the numbers. But when I checked in, I was the fourth hat. No problem. Same role. That's weird. The role still stayed the same, though. It was to create havoc. IT. No requirement as far as I had to get recruits somewhere. That was their job. My job was just to create havoc. Will you agree?
I do agree.
Was that fun for the first 3 months, or was that a learning experience?
So that was a learning curve. That was an exponential learning curve, because at that point, yes, your job is to create havoc, but if you are not learning how to be successful in creating havoc, then not only are you making it more difficult for the rest of your team, but you're also making it more difficult for yourself, because you're not actually learning anything. You're not learning how to be more efficient, more effective.
So controlled chaos.
Controlled chaos is a good way to think about it. Yeah.
Okay. So as a new drill instructor checking into the trenches, whatever battalion you check into, company, your job as a new drill instructor is to have controlled chaos. Disturb, but obviously in the disturbing, we still got to make mission.
That is correct.
Fair enough. That's fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
Did you learn right away after your first cycle what it should be, what it should look like, how you should sound? Did it all come full circle after the first cycle, or did it take time?
So first cycle was traumatic. I would assume, I would say, just because your first cycle, you're trying to learn, but more or less you are, until you repeat that training day. So I think at the conclusion of your second full cycle, I think at that point you become a solid, productive member of that team.
You're saying after the first couple 6 months per se?
After 6 months. So when you've seen every training day as a brand new drill instructor, and then you've seen every training day as a drill instructor that's already witnessed that training day, that makes you more efficient.
Fair enough. So then first cycle, did you get signed? There's a thing called being signed off, right? Can you explain the sign off? What is being signed off?
So getting signed off means the chief drill instructor, he observes you, the company first sergeant observes
wave tops.
Oh, wave tops. So
wave tops.
It just means that you are allowed to be with recruits by yourself.
So you earn the trust of your senior leaders, right? And those appointed over you, and say they can trust you around recruits.
That's correct.
Fair enough. So that's the sign off process, right?
That is. Yeah.
There's some some nuances or caveats, whatever you want to word. But caveats seems like a bad thing.
That is.
It is. So there's some nuances to it then. One being running the deck. Can you explain running the deck?
So running the deck, that means that you are able to control everything that's going on the deck. So getting them dressed for a basic daily routine, or having them get dressed, undressed within a specific time frame, getting them outside in formation, whilst at the same time making sure that you're meeting these time hacks and ITing recruits, just being able to control everything that's going on just with your voice, with your presence, with your actions.
So it sounds difficult.
It is. Some would even say that if you are not sweating while you are running the deck, you're not doing it right.
That's fair. I think I sweat. I was sweating on my first go around and trying to get signed off was evening BDR. When was yours?
It was evening BDR.
Evening BDR? Solid. I remember sweating bullets. I had, freaking, what do they call when you poke the hole in the beer can and just freaking...
Shotgun?
Shotgunning it. Shotgun 2 Red Bulls. And they said, "Are you ready?" I was a sergeant at the time. "Are you ready, Sergeant Garcia?" I said, "I'm ready." And then I just took off. But then as soon as it started, they just walked off the deck. That's how bad it was for me.
Well,
what was the same experience for you?
Well, so again, it all depends on how the senior greenbelt drill instructor, or the, on our coast, on the West Coast, the J, illustrious Jay, if he set everything up so that way to make you successful, and if you were paying attention, learning those commands, I think it's very doable. But if not, then if not, then you're working forever. You're working forever to try to get signed off.
remember, they would put me on, try to get signed off during the day, after PT. So you had PT, shower, change over, get outside for chow. Right in that time was like 15 minutes, right?
Right.
Did you ever get an opportunity to try to get signed off during the day?
So it wasn't, they wanted to see morning BDR, they wanted to see evening BDR, but for me, it was evening BDR first, a basic daily routine, morning BDR, and then post PT, getting them to chow, getting them back from chow. At that point, it's just at each one of those segments, the chief drill instructor, the series chief, would observe me while it was just me on deck.
Is it easily obtainable to get signed off on the first cycle?
Honestly, that depends. I think that
on how you were raised. Yeah,
no,
fair.
I think it really depends on the necessity for the platoon. If you only have 3 drill instructors and you are on your first cycle and you are a third hat, there's a strong possibility that you're going to get signed off a lot faster than those that are on a 4 or 5 hat team, because they need you to be signed off so that way you can be alone with the recruits, especially when you're teaching.
So it's almost like by default you'll get signed off.
I would say it's a political ploy, but yes.
I don't like that. I like people working. If I was training Marines, if I was there, it would be fair across the board.
Of course.
I think that's how it should be. Set standard, hold the standard, hold the line. This is how we do business. Let's move it on. Right. But it doesn't. Each company's different. But the overall concept of being signed off is across the board in San Diego, even in PI, right? In Parris Island. Well, I can't speak for Parris Island, but in San Diego, it's across the board on the whole depot. The signed off is the same. It's almost like the same sheet of paper. If you were to put a paper on it, same sheet of paper across the board. It's just work hard. They want you to see morning BDR, which is lights, PT, shower. I forget what that port is called, but what is it called?
It's been a long time.
It's been a long time. Holy crap. I forget.
PTRT.
There it is. And then evening BDR, right? So if you can action those 3 pretty well, work hard, I'm sure you'll get signed off your first cycle. Obviously, is there a thing called demeanor?
Yes, for sure.
And what is, in your opinion, not the MCRD San Diego's opinion of demeanor, but your demeanor, what do you think is a good demeanor?
Okay, so my personal perspective on demeanor is
in San Diego.
I would say even specifically for India Company, because I couldn't tell you what the demeanor's like for the different
everybody else. Yes, fair.
So, but you have to be loud. You have to consistently be moving, and the idea is to look like you're angry or you're dissatisfied.
As the new hat?
Just, are we talking we are signed off, or are we talking as when you first get there?
Well, there are unwritten rules, ROLS, right? Rules.
No, that's not like breakfast rolls. We're talking ROLES.
That's the one. I did say that, didn't I?
I don't think you forgot the E, but
sure.
Yeah,
not bread rolls.
I mean, I'm hungry too. It's okay.
But roles in terms of everybody has a role, right? You're saying when you first check in, your role is to create controlled chaos,
right?
IT, disturb recruits, make sure they're covered in a line, tied elbows, this, that, and the other, right? But do it in a mean looking way,
right?
Always looking like you're just pissed off. That would be the demeanor, in our opinion, of a good new green belt drill instructor,
right?
Okay, and then as you move up in billets, you move up in numbers, right? Which then you become, if it's a 4-hat team, you become what? The 3rd hat, which is the 3rd most experienced drill instructor in the platoon. That's
correct.
Again, this is just my opinion of the numbers. Again, some people don't like the numbers, but it just makes sense. Anyways, the 3rd hat, which is the drill instructor that reinforces knowledge. Because they don't teach it, right? AIP, I think it was taught it.
So AIP, yes, is supposed to. Instructional Training Company teaches the knowledge. But I mean, we reinforce or we create as Greenbelt drill instructors, we create those. We fill the gaps.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that makes sense.
Gaps.
That's good. And then the next, as you move up, do you necessarily move up every single time in billets as you progress in cycles?
100% not.
100% not. Was that your experience?
That was my experience.
So you did. Can you tell me how many numbers that you do?
I did 3 fourth hat cycles.
Holy mackerel!
Yes, you're welcome.
Thank you.
And then I did a third hat cycle, a J cycle, and a senior cycle.
Okay. Wow. Slay. If those listeners out there are like, hell yes, they slayed you. Well, I had a dude do all Greenbelt cycles. No names, but I had a dude in there. He got out after San Diego, but he did do all Greenbelt cycles. Didn't do anything. And those Greenbelt cycles were fourth hat and third hat. And that's it. But again, they're here or there. That's something different. Another story for another day.
Right.
So you don't progress in billet every single time. Is there if you had to, is there a draft per se in DI school?
A draft, yes, there is.
Can you explain that draft for everybody?
So depending on how well you do in DI school, right? If you want to go to 3rd Battalion, if you want to go to 2nd Battalion, whatever the case, they try to work it in as far as like what company, unless you have a deep connection or a by name request or something like that. It's more or less what battalion you're going to go to. So the better you do in drill instructor school, the more chance you have of getting the battalion that you want to go to.
So are there good things about being a good swimmer in DI duty?
I wouldn't know. Couldn't tell you.
Those swimmers.
Okay, so if you are a phenomenal swimmer, as soon as you graduate DI school, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to send you to pre-McQuiz course, and then they're going to send you to McQuiz if you make it through PMC. And that is so that way they have you as one of the drill instructors that works at the pool.
Yeah, solid. That would be a solid billet. I know plenty of dudes that did that billet. Super duper awesome.
I like how you edited what you were going to say.
Super duper awesome. There's besides that, but again, so you had the draft, right. You got selected, depending on your rank in DI duty. If you did well, you got the instructor hooked you up. He's like, this is where you want to go. Not hooked you up and said, this is where you want to go because it's easier. Mm-hmm. Maybe, hey, this is where you want to go because I was there. It's a good experience, blah, blah. You learn this, vice this, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
All the spiel that the instructors give you. But you went to 3rd Battalion?
Yes.
I went to 3rd Battalion. Would you have gone to any other battalion?
No.
Hell yes. That's what I'm talking about, baby. To the death. Anyways.
Not till the death.
Not to the death. That's just a saying on the depot.
Well, actually, it's a real saying at Mike Company.
Hey, okay, go ahead. You can talk about Mike if you want. I'll let you.
Oh, no. I'm not going to talk about Mike. I'm just, because I was never a part of Mike.
3rd Battalion. We bleed blue.
We do.
All together.
Just some bleed more than others.
Right, like Mike.
Mike, for sure.
For sure. Well, anyways, so now that the draft is open, you're on DI, you checked into your company. On average, how many hats are per team? And how many teams are there?
So it's 6 teams. On average, I would say four drill instructors per team.
That's solid. Any more than that is too much, I think.
It's too much, yes.
Any less than that, it's a slay.
It's a little bit tight.
It's a little bit tight, yeah. Is there, so I know recruiting is a 365-day slay. DI duty, 365-day slay?
Okay, within reason, but no, it's not.
So it's 3 months break, 3 months break, 3 months break?
Sometimes.
I
mean, there was a couple cycles where I did 3 months pickup week, 3 months, and then
so the weekend off.
Literally the weekend off, and then we started.
And what time period was that? Was that the summer, winter, fall, spring?
Can't remember.
Pretty sure it's like summer.
I'm pretty sure it was summer. I'm pretty sure we had full. We had a full deck the entire time. So
hell yes. So what is that, like 85?
So it's no more than 95 for 5 of the decks. No more than 85 for the
crack. The crack house. The crack house is what it's called. So we call it the crack house, ladies and gentlemen. No, it's just a term of endearment. It's nothing to suggest anything. It's just the crack house.
It is the smaller deck
Smaller deck.
that's attached to the company office.
Correct. That's just the name of what it's called. It's nothing bad, ladies and gentlemen. There's no drugs being done at the crack house. It's just the crack house. Anyways, where did you start off at? Second deck?
So my first cycle was platoon 3213 in the crack house.
In the crack house, so was mine. My first platoon was in the crack house. That was rough. It's super tight in there, right?
Super tight.
Super tight. Everybody walks through.
Right.
It's just super highlighted for some reason.
That's correct.
But never here or there. Anyways, so you did 4 third hats, or for what is it? 4
3 fourth hat cycles.
Jesus frick, dude, that's a slayer, dude.
Well, I mean, again, for me, I had a different circumstance than most.
Right.
So
they didn't like you apparently.
No, they did actually.
Oh, you're a likable guy.
I'd like to think so, but
You're
relatable for sure. But no, my second cycle, my appendix exploded.
I see.
I just got signed.
Hell yes, you were really screaming.
I was screaming.
Hell yeah, I like that. You know what? Fair enough. That's fair enough. So they want you to scream from where? The throat or the stomach?
So it depends on what company you go to. Because
good.
If you're
third battalion, you scream from the diaphragm.
If you're in third battalion,
you do it right.
You scream from whatever you have.
That's right.
Whatever makes the loudest noise, especially when you have no voice. So that's why a lot of people sometimes tend to scream from their throat, but the diaphragm is where the deep screams come from.
The more demanding screams.
The more demanding screams, yes.
Do you have any pointers or tips on how they can practice blowing out their voice per se?
Actually, yes. Scream the alphabet. So
that's it.
That's it. While you're running, though.
What?
Yeah.
So you're running.
So while you're running, and I understand
you look like
the civilian populace
like an idiot.
at you, and they're like, this guy
out
of his mind. But I think it's imperative. So you run, you scream the alphabet, and
that's solid.
It'll more than likely, if you're screaming loud enough, you won't make it to Z with a voice. So if
that's
you
good.
do, then you need to scream louder next time.
So I was told to turn up the volume, turn the AC up, turn the volume up, and scream the alphabet in the car while you're driving home from work or whatever the case may be during pickup week.
Right.
And just blow out your voice because on Friday it'll be super loud.
Right.
That worked for me. You're running and doing the alphabet work for you?
It did.
That's solid. I didn't think about that. That's a good idea because then it builds cardio too.
It builds cardio, and the main thing is it builds your deck cardio.
How were your feet?
Feet were screwed up.
Son of a biscuit. Those feet hurt.
Always.
You got to have the right soles.
Yes. And this is...
Are blisters going to happen?
Blisters are going to happen. Your toenails are going to end up in your socks. That's just like part of the experience.
Hold on. So you said you had hair?
At one time, yeah.
Did you shave it because you were on DI duty?
Actually, I had shaved my hair prior. I just as a young sergeant, it was just more efficient.
Yeah.
But when I went to the depot, I had hair. Well, when I went to DI school, I had hair, and then checking in, I just never had hair the entire time I was on the depot.
Yeah, same here. Well, actually, I did as a senior, even as a drill instructor that taught drill.
Oh, so the J,
the J, yeah.
Okay.
Well, they don't like to call it the J, but we'll call it the J because that's our experience.
That's correct.
So the J, I had started growing hair. For me. Oh. That was not the case for you. You just like being bald? Because you're still bald.
Well, bald by choice, not by disposition. So,
if I look super hard, I think your hair is receding, but that's my opinion.
It is running away from my eyebrows. There's a difference.
It's gone. It's gone.
It is.
You got a full hawk going if you had to grow it out.
That's correct.
Solid.
And it curls too. So.
Oh, very nice. Where were we?
We were talking about hair.
Hair. Also, again, so is it like tradition to shave your head the first cycle?
So is it tradition?
Unwritten tradition. Right?
It is.
It's just kind of a thing. It's a deepism, right?
Yeah, deepoism.
So you shaved your head?
My head was already shaved from DI school.
But
yes,
again,
prior to pickup week, I definitely shaved my head.
I shaved my head. My daughter got super scared of me when I shaved, and I was in the garage. I remember my neighbor. Luis, he shaved my head. He's like, dude, you gotta do it, dog. It's just the drill instructor way. And he wasn't even a drill instructor, right? He was just saying it's just the way. I was like, all right, dude, all right. And so I shave my head in the garage. My daughter walks in, starts crying like she's just seen a ghost or a demon. It was a pretty intense moment for me. I had to run around.
Has she only seen you with hair? Oh no.
Yeah, up in that time, yeah, she only seen me with hair. But then, I was just bald the rest of the time until I got moved up in billet.
Mm-hmm.
I had more time, right, to get a haircut. That's just what it was. You had to learn the training cycle as a young BOBBY, right? Is that what they call them in San?
Yeah, Bobby. Yeah.
It's not a bad thing. It's just a Bobby means you're kind of falling asleep. You're bobbing.
We'll pretend, but yes, 100%. Yes. You're definitely falling asleep.
You're definitely falling asleep, right? There's as you get tired, experience the training day as your first cycle. It's just the reason they call you a Bobby is because you're bobbing. You're just falling asleep. Nothing else.
Yes, especially when you're standing, running.
Yeah. Dude, I remember during evening, what is it? SDI, what is it called?
Senior drill instructor time?
Yeah, but that's when we had the pass down. I forget what it's called. And they had the little pass down for the next day. Little powwow.
Oh, scoop.
Scoop. Yeah. So I had a dude. Gosh, I don't remember any of the terminology. That's good though. I just dropped it all. During scoop, right? Mm-hmm. We would all meet up at the duty senior drill instructor, and there was a dude that was falling asleep, right? And we had wall lockers. The wall lockers inside the duty hut.
We did.
Standing up as they were talking, all you heard was a loud boom, and it was a dude fell on the wall locker and fell asleep standing up. We looked around, like, holy crap, what's going on? And then we're like, sit down, dog. What's wrong with you? If you're tired, sit down. And then he sat down on the wall locker, and then he fell asleep sitting down, and he smacked his face on the cement. It was the best thing ever. Super funny. Ever had moments like that?
Of course.
Was it rough not getting sleep? Did you get sleep? Adequate sleep?
So no. I mean, first cycle, especially the first 14 days, but actually I would say first 17 days, you get minimal sleep because you want to get ahead in things that you need to do. Falling asleep standing or like during PT, like just stopping for a second. It happens periodically.
Yeah. Is there when the recruits get dropped off from receiving, what day they get dropped off in San Diego?
It's Monday or Tuesday.
What? No, I'm talking about to the company.
Oh, Friday. You said it to
my
receiving.
bad. I should elaborate a little bit more. So there's a drop to receiving.
Right.
They do all the medical stuff, make sure they're good to go for Friday. Mm-hmm. Friday they get dropped off.
Right.
What do we call it?
We call it Black Friday.
Black Friday.
Or F1 as
F1 as the train. Yep, that's the train cycle to say. Black Friday is a super fun day after you've done one. Yes?
Right. After you know what to expect.
After you know what to do. Is it intense? Is that day super intense?
I think so. I think that it separates. I would say it separates good platoons from bad platoons.
Oh, I like that. It sets the precedence, I think, for the whole cycle. I think
it does.
If it's super dynamic, it's super intense. Again, ladies and gentlemen, I think another tool for a toolbox is we're the lowest paid actors in Hollywood. Can you agree?
I would have to 100% agree.
We're the lowest paid actors in Hollywood, but we do a good darn job of acting. So you, as a drill instructor, you get paid to act. Yes, that's the whole demeanor, roles.
I would say act and react, but yes,
act and react. That's good. React in terms of what?
So your job is damage control sometimes. So if a recruit, is failing at something, your job is to motivate them to be better. Mm-hmm. So at that point it's how do you react to that individual not being as strong or as capable in a specific topic or a specific area.
Solid.
So act and react.
Okay. That's fair. Now that we know what DI school is, right? We check into drill instructor duty. Mm-hmm. All right. That's an experience in itself. Right. Or not drill instructor duty, but into the trenches, as people would say, into your company. That's an experience. Setting up a house is an experience. Mm-hmm. Prep, what is that first week called again?
Pickup week.
Pickup week. Lost all kind of link. Pickup week.
Right.
And then right at pickup week, Black Friday, F1. There's a thing called sign off the house. I'm assuming, yes.
Yes.
And in order for you to sign off the house, that means that you can do what? But again, wave tops. It means you can go home.
Well,
After everybody can go home after the first couple of days, right? Because you want to make sure that the recruits know this, that, the other, blah, blah, blah. Explain that. The platoon gets signed off, excuse me.
So, depending on how long it takes, but usually by training day 5, the recruits are trusted in quotations, right? They are trusted to go from point A to point B because they know their surroundings
That's
well
fair.
enough.
That's fair. So the F days are forming days. You teach them how to do what?
Teach them how to walk, how to shave,
How to walk.
how to wipe after they've gone to the bathroom. Basic human functions. They have to relearn all of these things.
Dude, those restrooms are disgusting.
I mean, yeah.
It's like grown young men, young impressionable individuals. They come to this training camp for 3 months, and they lose all sense of their motor skills, their bodily functions, and then you're there as a grown man. Like, what the WTF? Who sent this kid here? Yes.
Right, and then we have to blame the recruiters for the rubbish that they sent us.
Absolutely, there's alphas and bravos. I know a Marine by the plenty of Marines that are bravos, to include myself.
We know some Zulus too.
Zulus too. So those recruiters sent us not the best. Not the best. I'll say that. Agreed.
Agreed.
I blame the recruiters though. They're not going to blame us for sure.
I mean, it's again, if we go deep into the weeds, I'm pretty sure there are driving forces behind the decisions that recruiters have to make.
I'm sure there is. Ladies and gentlemen, if you listen to Recruiter Session 1, you'll find those driving motivators. But right now, we're talking about the drill instructor, the most demanding SDA in the armed forces. Again, a little biased. I'm sure you are too, Staff Sergeant Popkov. But again, so now we did pickup week, the Black Friday, forming days, which is F1, 2, 3, and 4, right? I'm assuming, if I remember right. And then you go to T1.
That's correct.
Training days happen. When we were there, it was 3-phase model. Was a Slayer. Goodness gracious, we're still doing drill up north. And then when they changed it to 4-phase, that was good. Logistically, it was good.
Right.
Right, because you only had to move one time. That was amazing. So whoever created that was amazing. Even though 4-phase did exist at one point before the 3-phase.
I did not know.
Did you know that?
I did not.
The 4-phase model was there before the 3-phase model. So they logistically they did the same thing. It just reverted back to the original 4-phase model.
It definitely made sense.
It does make sense, which is perfect. And then it was just less of a Slayer on the new guys.
I mean, some would say
physically it was.
Some would say that that's unnecessary. Some would say that, if I had to get destroyed for the 3-phase model, I feel like you should too.
Yeah, I agree. 3-phase model was intense. Intense. The way I grew up in San Diego, I'm sure you grew up the same way, but the way I grew up made me the demanding drill instructor that I was.
For sure.
Yeah. Again, I forgot all terminology, so I let it all out, get it all out of my system. I'm good to go now. But same thing for you, I'm assuming?
No, there are.
There's still some isms that are left.
There's still some isms that float around.
What is that called? PTSD?
No, I don't know what it's called.
It is a little bit of traumatic stress.
Depot SD.
Depot
stress disorder. That's what it's called.
So pick up, forming days, training days, the training cycle, training days. After you get this hang of it, there are some things called hidden movements. Can you explain hidden movements?
So a hidden movement would be white space in the training schedule that you can utilize for something else, right? That it doesn't have to do with recruits. So if you're coming to the depot and you're married, that could be a little bit of time that you get to spend with your spouse. Like for example, at the House of Knowledge, when you're there, if they are getting a class and that gives you like about 20, 30 minutes to be able to just sit in a car with your spouse and talk about, how wonderful your guys' lives are together, or whatever it is that you
Yeah.
But
Catch up with the kids. Yeah.
catch up with the kids. Also, hidden movements are things that you know from experience that you could be doing in order to prepare for the next training day. So again, a silly example would be walking around with a hygiene bag full of pens and staplers and pencils and PFT, CFT cards. Hidden movements would be you have all that stuff prepped, ready to go, so that way you are not. So each movement that you do is at the utmost efficiency.
The hidden movement. So the hygiene bag with a bunch of stuff was prepping yourself for the next day, I'm assuming. Right?
Yes, for sure.
So, again, some would use it for spending time, quality time with the fam. Others would be proactive in the next training day, even the next training week, right? You get the stuff ready. But I used my hidden movement. Once I knew there was hidden movements, right? Because I was always wondering, where's everybody at, dude? What the frick? Or, before they pushed us out, remember, I think you were there at the same time, where you couldn't run and scream around AIP, where they did a class. It had to be super quiet.
That's correct. Yeah.
Right? It was, at one point, it was super loud. And then, somebody gave a frago and said, no more screaming and yelling in front of the knowledge room, right? Because they have to learn. Made sense.
Except for we both know that they don't actually learn anything.
They just fall asleep.
That's correct.
They just, because it's super hot. There's no AC.
There's no AC.
Heat plus tired. Take a nap. Right? That's okay. So the hidden movement started happening a lot more often, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
For me, as you, I was already married, 2 kids. So you were
Married.
had kids.
I'm married with 3 kids.
Married kids, and so it was, as you figured it out, it was like, come on, I got an hour and a half. You want to come through?
Right.
I'm assuming the same thing. It was the same thing for me. I was like, come on, I got 4 hours. Come on over, baby. You know that Christine?
Of
Christine?
course. Yeah.
That's a good one.
Do you want to sing it together? Or?
No.
Okay.
I sound good on the mic. Not that good on the mic.
Oh.
With a lot of effects, maybe I could do it.
Okay.
Continuing. So there was those hidden movements. So as you progress in training, in your cycles meaning how many actual platoons you push through, right?
Right.
And they could vary from 75, 85, 95, 60.
Right.
Those are nice. I never had a 60-man platoon.
I had a 43-man.
What do they call them though? Herds, right? They call them herds. I like herd. 60-man herd.
I mean, there's company track and series.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Company track, series track. Yeah, I did forget about that. Can you explain company and series track?
So company track means that the company is so small that the whole company does everything as together.
Oh, the all PT. No, that's right. That's right. God darn, you are still ingrained. Thoroughly indoctrinated.
In the love of corn country.
Oh, my goodness. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then series track is when it's series does one thing, one series does the other. There's usually lead and follow series.
Interesting.
This session is brought to you by Rally Point Pro Shops, simplified online fundraising for America's warrior class. Find them at rallypointproshop.com. That's rallypointproshop.com. Shaka Bones, Honolulu, Hawaii. Tropic vibes and sketchy rides. Supporting and promoting Hawaii's motorcycle culture. Find them on shakabones.com. That's shakabones.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back from the commercial break. This is your host, Gunnery Sergeant Israel Garcia, back in the horn, back on the mic with your special guest, Staff Sergeant Roman Popkov. Say hello again.
Hello again.
Hello again. All right, so back to it. So we left off on, well, let's just ask you the hard question now. Would you go back?
I would go back.
Solid. So would I. I loved it. I loved slaying bodies. Incentive training, excuse me. I loved incentive training. I used it a lot. It was my favorite tool. And thoroughly indoctrinating young individuals that wanted to serve.
In the love of corn country?
Absolutely.
Very well.
So that's the hardest question out there. Would you go back? Yes. Recruiters, they said the same thing. They would go back. Which was weird to me because the ones I spoke to, they didn't want to go back.
I don't know if I would be able to go back to recruiting.
I wouldn't either. But that's just us, though. But even the stories they tell us, I wouldn't want to go back, period.
That's correct.
One and done. But MSGers doesn't count. That's not an SDA. That's just a fun adventure tour.
And then pending all the hate comments and below.
Right. So, a hard question for you. So, there is a thing called training drill instructors, DI school.
Right.
But that only gives you a foundational, something foundational to move forward with into the trenches is what they call it. Right?
Right.
Is there a cookie cutter way to train at least effectively train a drill instructor at drill instructor duty?
So you're talking about once they have graduated drill instructors?
That is correct.
So when they show up to their company, which each company is different, is there a way to cookie cutter each individual to become an effective drill instructor? I don't believe that there is a cookie cutter way to do it.
Okay. Is it? Wow, excuse me, that was rude. I apologize. My phone went off. So there's no cookie cutter way.
I don't believe so, no.
Does the roles, the so-called unwritten rules of roles, ROLES, right? Roles of a drill instructor, right? Because obviously there's the numbered hats. There's a drill instructor teaches drill, and then the senior drill instructor, right? Those are all roles that each one of us plays.
Right.
They don't like to say that because it's like, everybody's the same. Yes, they are. But however, each Marine plays a role in that team for that platoon, right?
That's correct.
So if the roles were harped on, do you think there would be more effective drill instructors?
Within reason. There was a bunch of unnecessary training techniques that were utilized, at least when I was going through. But at the same time, I think that those roles that you participate in, those are important because they build you to the next role.
So if a Marine says, I want to do an SDA of drill instructor duty, and I say these roles are important, if I take away from a certain role, does it affect the platoon?
100%.
So the roles are important.
They are important.
So if I'm a new guy, right? I'm first cycle in. Should I take away from the senior drill instructor's role?
No.
What is the senior drill instructor's role, if you ask me?
So if you're talking to a Marine audience, a senior drill instructor's role is more or less a platoon commander. It's the person who commands the platoon. That overall is the fit and finish for the platoon. So it's the one that's ultimately responsible for the goings on. He is the one that has ultimate say.
Okay. So if a new guy take away from that senior drill instructor's role and responsibilities, because they're the ones responsible for, you say the finished product,
right?
Does it take away from the training days, the training cycles, the training routine, BDR? Does it do any of that, or does it better amplify the young drill instructor that just checked in?
So I would say that if you take those responsibilities away from the senior drill instructor, then you are inadvertently affecting the mindset of what a senior drill instructor is supposed to be in order to accomplish the specific mission that the senior drill instructor has.
So don't do it.
Don't do it.
So effectively, your role as a new guy is to control chaos,
right?
Discipline,
right?
That's all you need to do.
And learn.
Right. Learn the next, build it up.
Yes.
Because that's what you're going to be doing.
Right.
Effectively training a drill instructor is rough. Yes?
Yes.
I'm sure you were in those shoes. I was in those shoes. Sometimes unnecessary, sometimes necessary. Pain does retain.
It does.
For the most part.
Right.
It doesn't have to be physical pain. It could be a little bit of mental pain, being uncomfortable. That's pain in itself. But it does retain. You learn quicker. Being in uncomfortable situations, you learn quicker. I mean, that's just life in general.
That is, yes.
Right? So, training a Marine to be an effective drill instructor, at the very end of it, when I became a senior drill instructor, it came full circle. Whether I agreed with it or not, it made me an effective drill instructor. Is that the same thing for you? Could you say the same thing?
Yes. Yes, I could, because not only did I already experience that pain, that learning curve, I was able to influence that learning curve I mean, my policy was you eat the meat and you spit out the bones. You find what you find to be effective as long as it maintains the integrity of that specific role, and you use the things that you learn to improve those guys, the new guys. And the new guys, they don't necessarily, they don't know what they don't know. So they don't know what'll make them effective. I don't believe that is harped on enough in drill instructor school.
That's fair. And so my question to you is, I mean, there's no really question. It's just, you suck it up.
You do.
Expectations are mentally, they refine you. Those expectations in drill instructor, they refine you. They make you who you are. In essence, just suck it up, right? Because it's an SDA you're learning. You have to learn from the most experience. And if the experience is telling you this, then do it, right? Because it's going to make you a better drill instructor. It's going to be a better overall Marine in terms of training recruits. Yes?
Within reason.
Within reason. Oh, sure. Within reason. So actually, quick tidbit. So there's a couple polls out there. I don't know if you've seen it. Probably not, because you don't really follow. So joke. I would have pressed the pad, but I don't know which one to press. Takapsh, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, for the
joke.
The BS button?
Yeah, that one.
Okay.
So there's a couple polls out there. It says, are you more likely to go on a special duty assignment with a bonus? Marines are saying 67% of the voters say yes. They're more likely to go with an SDA, a bonus. Just trying to figure out what kind of Marine you're going to be on the SDA.
Does that separate the different types of SDA?
That's a general question.
It's a general
question. I would say, let's see here. And there's another one that says, are you recruiting or drill instructor? Flat out. 63% of voters said drill instructor duty. All right. You know what I'm saying? Silence. That's what you get, recruiting duty. You didn't sell it very well, I'll tell you that. It was a good session. It's number one session, so hopefully this DI session pushes past that, because 63% of voters said DI duty. And then there's another one, just a quick tidbit for you listeners out there. The poll currently says, do Marines joining the Marine Corps need a high enlistment bonus? 50% of voters said depends on ... The replies are no replies. They just said depends. They left it open-ended. What do you think?
I think that if you receive a signing bonus, then that commits you 100% to that organization.
I think you're looking at it face value.
I mean,
in terms of overall, what kind of Marine, what kind of person are you going to get when you say, here's $60K, boom. And you're going to get all kinds of people, right? But are you going to get the ones that you really want to serve this country?
Okay. With that in that respect, you're not necessarily going to get the kind of, Marines that you might think you need. You're going to get what you get. And it is our responsibility as, instructors, as recruiters to weed out the difference, because there will always be, we'll always have those guys that are up in the rafters, and we'll have those guys that are just scraping the concrete. Unfortunately, that is just how this world works.
That's fair. I like that response. That's good. Ladies and gentlemen, drill instructor duty, 63% of voters said, let's do it with the bonus. I'm all for it. Don't hit the streets, hit the trenches. You know what I'm saying? So DI duty, overall, pretty demanding. Physically or mentally?
Both. But I would say mentally more so once your body has climatized.
Climatized. That's good. Are we going with white shirts now or what? I first checked in, the White Sox thing, right? Green on green White Sox. So I checked in not knowing what I didn't know, right? So I just checked in, blue shirt, green shorts, white socks.
How dare you?
Yeah. I was the only one with white socks, and I said, why is everybody wearing black socks? Talking to myself. And some dude comes up to me and is like, dude, you didn't get the memo? I go, obviously not, dog. Like, what the frick? You didn't tell me I had to wear black socks. Yeah, it's a depot thing. I'm going to go, I don't know. Sure. I was like, oh, yeah, I changed drill instructor. Played my role, right? I go, where? So I was looking like an idiot in front of recruits with white socks.
So I did the same thing, except for when I checked in, my senior drill instructor told me to take off my socks. So I did the first PT without socks on.
Yes. Yes.
But they were not white socks.
They were not white. I stuck with my white socks, so they didn't tell me to take them off. Unfortunately, I would have preferred taking them off.
But did you have blue shoes on?
I did.
I had red shoes on.
So, ladies and gentlemen, there's a thing, right? So, if you're in first, second, or third, they got different colors to delineate which company you're with or battalion you're with. First battalion is red, second battalion is yellow, and then third battalion is blue. Right. Usually the drill instructors that come from third battalion, they bleed blue. So when you look at them bleed, they bleed blue. Everybody else is just kind of pretty trash. That's just my opinion, ladies and gentlemen. Don't get all hissy fitty. And
that is the opinion.
That is the opinion from this podcast. But yeah, so you usually match the shirt or match the battalion. The shoes match the shirt, match the battalion. So it's all about pride kind of thing. And I loved it. I checked in with black shoes. And then shortly after I bought blue New Balances. So
you wanted to match the recruits?
Yes. I had to get blue shoes really quick. And then later on, towards the end of the cycle, I bought nice blue shoes that matched the platoon. But again, I had more than one pair of blue shoes.
Were they Brooks?
I did buy.
See? They're battalion. Blue Brooks. It was Ghost 12.
It was only for PT though. Those shoes were for PT. As I walked around, they were different. So when we were in second cycle, the third hats, all the trays, what you call them, the trays, right? Right. We were like, hey, let's get matching shoes. So we got matching Vans with Mighty Mike logo right in front of the toes on both sides. We're all walking with Vans at night, obviously at night when we're working the platoons on Firewatch. We all had matching Vans. Anything with you?
We did not. I definitely wore.
Why'd you say like that?
My first cycle, I wore my red shoes
the entire time.
The entire cycle.
Oh, what a turd!
I know. I got
no pride.
Talked to about it a lot.
What, your first battalion coming over here, or what? Is that what they said?
No, they said, did we not organize our closet before we came to work today?
Organize our closet. Well, those are some of the things. You know what? It was easier to keep a shave though. For the dome piece we got. It was super easy. It was at night, because you had the showers were amazing, mind you. Super hot water. I don't know about your squad bay, but normally our squad bay is a lot of pressure, super hot water. It was amazing at night.
Okay, so that's why we had cold water and no pressure.
Right.
Okay, that's fair.
So the Mike company barracks squad bays were newer than who are you with again?
India
company. So you're right.
Our barracks was the same barracks.
Yeah, so you had good water. You had good water. We were never together. Either you were on Marine Week and we were barely picking up first couple of training T days, or it was vice versa. We were Marine Week, you were training days. We were never together at the same time. Cross-decked every time. I loved cross-decking. Did you ever cross-deck?
I did,
support?
For gear guards and things of that nature.
I hated gear guards. Were you there when we had to request gear guards and we had to support the deck?
Of course.
That was an amazing time.
It actually was because of me that stopped on the depot.
Really?
It really was.
Because of you?
Yes.
Shut, ladies and gentlemen. For all those listeners that did DI duty, Staff Sergeant Roman Popkov said he's the reason why I'd stopped. Let me hear the story.
All right. So, are you ready?
Yeah.
Do you have notepad and paper?
I am. Mental notepad.
Mental notes. Okay. So, I found out that I needed to go get gear guards.
Right.
This is my first cycle. I didn't know I was supposed to get gear guards or how I was supposed to go get gear guards. So I walked onto a deck with another drill instructor. He was a third hat, at the time. And we went over to Fox Company to go retrieve gear guards. So we went there, supported the deck, destroyed the deck. And then, afterwards, the senior drill instructor called us in, and he's like, "What do you need?" He's like, "We need 2 gear guards, morning chow to noon chow, platoon, whatever the platoon was." And then, so from there, we left, and then the senior drill instructor told me, the new guy, you need to be back at 05:30 to pick up your gear guards. Just make sure to get chow and all that stuff. So, but I was told that I just needed to show up. So when I got on their deck to pick them up the following morning, I walked straight into the duty hut without supporting the deck. And he laughed at me. He said, "Go find a real drill instructor and come back." So sad and completely demoralized, I ran back to back to my duty hut and told the senior drill instructor that I did not, in fact, have any gear guards from morning chow to noon chow. So as so it turns out that escapade went high into the right to the point where all of the senior drill instructors, they were all watching the platoons, and then the J's all the way down. So the ones that the drill instructors that were teaching drill all the way down, they decided to teach all the new guys how to go
Support the deck?
support the deck.
Yes,
So
dude. I would have loved to be there.
We went to Fox Company and destroyed every single deck.
You made corrections, thorough corrections in the deck where they had to be refined.
Yes.
That's fair.
We made small, simple, loud corrections
I love it. That's so awesome.
on every.
Remember when that got slapped on the table across the whole depot and it said, no more. You don't support deck. You don't get gear guards. You get internal gear guards to everybody else.
That's correct.
So, and that was difficult in itself already because recruits couldn't stay by themselves. So we were like, where are we going to get gear guards from? It had to be internal to the battalion. But there was still this unwritten rule where you just don't go on a deck and not say nothing.
Yes, but this unwritten rule was not written in any of my books. I didn't know this. So, and then the following day, as I was running all over MCRD San Diego looking for gear guards at every single barracks, the regimental commander just happened to be walking around our deck, and as he saw me running up and down the stairs, the ladder wells, and he asked me, he's like, "Hey, come here, drill instructor." I was like, "Sir." He's like, he asked me, what are you doing? I was like, "I'm getting gear guards." He's like, "What does that mean?" And so I told him what getting gear guards meant. And the following day, the chief drill instructors were required to get gear guards.
Yes, I like it. Gear guards was a fun time. I mean, I was there in that little gray area where it was still happening, didn't happen. And then after that, it was kind of just in between the internal to the company or battalion. It was a good time though. Good time. Any other crazy small little tidbits of DI duty? It was fun overall.
Overall, it was fun.
Overall, it was fun. I think I think all of us can say we all had a different, roller coaster experience, but overall, it was fun. Not maybe the first 3 months,
or the first 7 days of every cycle.
Yeah, or the first couple of F days and T days. Those were not fun. It was pretty. I did enjoy the pizza. The nights at what do they call?
Charlie Rome's.
Yeah, Chuck Rome's, right? It was somebody's turn. We all got in and outs.
It was somebody's turn. No, it was always the new guy's turn.
It was always the new guy's turn. Yeah. I learned so quick. I was like, you know what? Screw this. Everybody gets Sam's Club little freaking frozen sandwiches. Here you go if you want to. That was a lot of money.
Oh yes.
I bet you the wives can tell you, fudge, every single night they were bringing in packs of Red Bulls, Monsters.
Right.
Remember that?
Of course.
Fudge. It was a slayer. And then after that, it became super routine. It was almost like water. It didn't even do anything to your body. It was just for taste at this point.
That's correct.
Same?
Right.
Jesus, Mary and Joseph. DI duty. Overall, we would do it again. Well, I'd recommend it to anybody, to be honest. Honestly, if it was between recruiting and DI duty, I would recommend DI duty only because I did it. But there are a lot more tangible things for recruiting duty. Yes?
I wouldn't know. I was never a recruiter.
Well, just from the outside looking in.
From the outside looking in, I would say that a drill instructor prepares you for the Marine Corps, and a recruiter prepares you for the civilian life.
Someone's going to disagree on that.
I can't wait.
Hit the Q&A, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to disagree. So I have another question for you.
Okay.
DI duty, obviously, right? This is what we're talking about.
Right.
The Marines want to know, if I pick DI duty, is it going to be worth the experience? Is it worth the experience? Is it worth the slay?
It depends on what you bring into it. So if you show up with the if you follow like an incentivized visit, if you go there just because you get a bonus, if you go there just because you want to wear the Smokey Bear, you're going to struggle. You got to go there because you genuinely want to make a difference.
I like that.
So but again, you're still, whether you want to or not, either you're going to become a proficient drill instructor or you're going to serve on the depot in a separate capacity. Either way, you're going to make a difference whether you want to or not.
Solid. So I agree. Don't go in with the mindset of I'm here because I want the money.
Right.
You're going to struggle. And you're going to struggle super quick. I think that if you're there to make a difference, like you said, I totally agree. Solid. I wouldn't have said it better myself. That if you're there to serve a purpose rather than yourself, you're going to be super successful.
Right.
And I think that was it. I volunteered. Did you get HSST or volunteered?
I volunteered.
Voluntold. I volunteered. No bonus because there was no bonus to go get there at the time. But I volunteered to go because I wanted to make Marines. Because that's one of the Marine Corps missions is make Marines. And I was doing that. You were doing that selfless service to our country. It's like small deployments. Yes?
It is.
It's like TAD a lot. And it's just strenuous on the body. I do see. There was at the latter end of my tour. There was a thing that they were doing 6 and out, 5 and out, or 6 and out. I don't remember which one it was. But
6 cycles.
6 and out, and you had to go on quota. Do you think that's smart?
Yes, I do. Now it depends on what you're going on quota for, right? Because there are quotas that are easier than others. There are quotas that are more demanding than others. But I still think it's important that if you don't see a light at the end of the tunnel, then all of that weight for 3 years is going to be weighing you down for the entire time that you're there. Because
I remember dudes that would cycle out. And cycle out, ladies and gentlemen, would be just hitting recruits. Or not hitting recruits, excuse me. Doing recruit cycles all the way for 3 years.
9 cycles.
Cycle out. I couldn't imagine. They looked miserable. Super miserable. Was that the same experience for you?
Same experience.
Super miserable. Bags under their eyes, just waiting. Couldn't transition. Couldn't check out correctly. It was just, hey, I need you. You're so experienced. And they would just stay senior drill instructors, though. They wouldn't even move up.
Right.
It was most of them, right?
There's only so many spots for chief drill instructor.
Right. So, and it was miserable. So I like the fact that the 6 and out and you're done, because it gives the Marine time to transition. Because even if you do go on quota means not going through this. You're not in the training companies. You're supporting the training companies, ladies and gentlemen. So you can go on quota. It's a good transition. You get to transition out, and you get to have more time to yourself, right? Towards the latter end of your the tour, you actually get to check out properly.
Right.
You get to hopefully, I wasn't there for that transition piece, but I was there for Marines still having the time to cycle out. But it's good in the sense that these guys get to, data dump this stuff, like, because if you cycle out,
there is no refresh.
There's no refresh. Yeah. And you come to the fleet, and those are the dudes that give us a bad name.
Right.
Because they still have those, this, that, and the other, and, yelling and having those flashes where you walk past them and don't say nothing and they just snap at you. Those are those guys. So I think the 6 and out is good in terms of transitioning, refresh button, as you would say. And overall, I think it does the Marine a justice because, physically, mentally, they get to recover. Right. They get to go to, they have time to go to medical to, fix their hip or their broken foot that they've been running on for a long time. You know what I mean?
Maybe they have a chance to go to their advanced school prior to going to the fleet. So
that's good.
Get that new MOS.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That's a good point. So I do like that. You like that?
I do. I mean, I don't think that's actually sustainable though.
Really?
So I think that there still has to be Marines on.
Well, no, because remember, I get I know what you're saying, because Marines, listeners, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know this, you're going to find out quick right here. Either you're on quota first, or you're in the trenches first, or you're in between, right? You go quota, trenches, quota, right? Or vice versa. But there's always enough hats to fill, and enough hats. Well, in theory, in a good, perfect world, there's enough to support both, right? We all have a spot to fill when it comes to quota, so we all have a number to fill, so we always have to rotate. But when we rotate from the trenches, Marines from the quota will rotate to the trenches.
Right.
So there's always new hats, per se, coming in, or experience coming in. Doesn't matter what. But so I think it is sustainable. I disagree with you. But continue, because I did cut you off. Go ahead.
Sorry. And so I mean, if you are dealing with only the 6 and out, usually that means you do 6 cycles straight and then out, right?
Right.
So, but if you do, if everybody does 6 cycles and then transitions out, that means the recruits or the special training company, your instructional training company, things like that, they get the leftovers, the guys that are transitioning out instead of the guys that are still in there to be there. So I think in order for the 6 and out to be a thing, there's going to be those that are going to cycle out, or there are those that are going to have to do their quota in their middle year. Otherwise, the last year, that's if you designate that last year to do your medical stuff, to do your recovery time, things of that nature, then technically the organization itself is missing out.
That's fair. That's fair. It's got to be a good mix. Then you're saying,
right.
That's fair. I like the idea, though.
Oh no,
I do like the idea. It is a good idea. Okay, that's fair. Yeah, it's fair. That's fair. It's fair to say. Roman, well said. Well said. It is fair. It's a good idea. It's hard to sustain. I agree with that too. That's fair. But it is a good idea. I think that if they can work it around where it is successful, I think it'll be more. You're going to get more from the drill instructor overall,
right?
Than slay. You know what I'm saying? They cycle out looking like you're 50, but you're only 28 or 32, right? Remember being the rabbit?
I was always the rabbit.
Oh yeah, because you're a PT stud.
That's correct.
I was never a PT stud until I got to the depot, and then I got back to the real fleet, and I was back to my normal healthy weight. But the rabbit sucked, ladies and gentlemen. If you do a DI duty and you're a new guy, you're gonna be a rabbit. Rabbit is the dude in front
that the recruits chase.
The recruits chase, and they will catch you.
Not always, but most of the time.
There's that one good 2 to 5% of recruits that run super fast.
Right.
Sub 18s.
Right.
Every single cycle. There's dudes running sub 18s. I hated rabbiting for those dudes. Because in a 3 mile, you had to rabbit for how long?
For half. So mile and a half.
And those dudes are running 8.5 minutes.
Yes.
I can't even run an 8.5 minute mile and a half anymore, right? So it was super tough. I'm sitting there looking like, and then as soon as they pass you, say, get back. So they would, they couldn't pass you. It's not fair, right?
Oh, did you just have them war cry as they're coming up behind you? Be like, good, you don't want to.
Yeah, you're not putting out enough, obviously, because you didn't catch me soon enough, right? Those rabbit days sucked. I'd tell you that. The 880 wasn't too bad though. You know that dirt. Remember the dirt in San Diego? There's a little dirt track per se with a circuit in between. Those were fun.
But
I'd put out on those
to the track.
Yes, that's true. That's fair. I didn't like the circuit. That was my worst. I hated that PT always. Did you? What was your worst PT session for the recruits, or for you, not for the recruits?
For me, I think the worst PT session I think was McMap. Actually. I think that was the worst.
You think so?
To being a brand new drill instructor.
Oh my goodness, yeah. But remember though, there's a lot of things that changed while we were there. I think when were you there again?
From 2016 to 2019.
Oh, okay. So you were already out when it started changing. So, well, kind of and kind of not. You're in the between. So I was there towards the latter end of the gray area, right? And then it came into no more corrections during McMap. Only when the instructor pushed them out to train, right? And then that's when you had to make effective corrections, right? Before though, it was free game. And remember were you there? Did you go to recruit training when they had bends and thrusts?
Yes.
Yes. That was fun. Imagine being a drill instructor during bends and thrust sessions.
I can't imagine.
Oh my goodness, that'd be Slayer. But anyways, McMap was towards the latter end of my tour. The McMap sessions were fun because you'd stay in the back. They had their little powwow for a good while. And then they'd push out to demonstrate or to execute the technique. And then that's when we had our fun.
When you say
Fun, making effective corrections for McMap. Techniques.
okay.
All right. Anyways, but for mine it was a circuit. I hated the circuit, especially when you had a stick.
The strength and endurance?
Yeah. When you had a stick, you had to sit there and tell them to get around, get to whatever workout they're going to do, and then you sit there and do the workout with them, and you still got to scream, still got to run, still got to make corrections, and still effectively work out. I hated that one. Did you like that? That was your favorite?
I enjoyed
that. Was the easiest one for you?
That was easy for me.
Wow.
I honestly anything boots and utes, like when they did the A-frame and things like that. That was for me was a slayer because that was consistent running.
Yeah. The confidence course. 1 and 2. Yeah, that's fair too. Boots and utes was. Yeah, that's a good one too. Actually, I think about it. That's a good one. Being the duty serial instructor though, with the whistle, that was easy, super easy. Just walking around. I liked being on the what's that?
The stairway.
Yeah, we started using the harnesses towards our ladder. We never used them though. Nobody ever used them until a recruit fell down, hit the pad right,
he broke his crown, and Jill came tumbling after.
Yeah, right. He fell down to the pad. I think he broke his wrist or something like that. And after that, we started using harnesses to get him up and down. That took forever.
Did they have to tie their seats?
No, it was on the McMap belt.
Oh, okay.
On the McMap belt, which.
Wait, they had their McMap belt in boot camp?
Yes. The web belt. The web belt. Well, it was. No, they didn't have it actually. It was a web belt, and then there was the McMap belt. Man, I don't even know anymore at this point.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, it is. Holy crap. Well, anyways, we had to tie it down. They didn't have a seat though. I know they didn't have a seat. As the senior drill instructor on the course or whatever it was, they had the seat tied up at the top. Mm-hmm. I remember that. But anyways, so there's some good and bad experiences in DI duty.
Yes.
Look, ladies and gentlemen, all I gotta say is I think me and Roman here, we can both say if you don't go for the money, you're gonna do just fine.
Right.
The money is a added bonus. It's a plus.
It is.
As I look at the chart, it's not that much, right? Because recruiters, if they extend 1 year, they get $12,000 in 1 year. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Mic drop. That's a lot of money. We don't even see that in bonus as doing the DI as the DI. So if you did want to go for the money, I'd say go recruiting because you get a lot of extra money when you're doing that tour. But DI duty, you're definitely doing for selfless service, for the good of the Corps, for the good of the organization, to thoroughly indoctrinate young individuals to become basically trained Marines.
Right.
Good. Liked it. Do it again. I'd recommend it wholeheartedly. Staff Sergeant Roman Popkov, hey, where can they reach you at? Your handle? Do you have any?
So, what do you mean by handle? What is a handle?
Well, I think it's what they call it. What they call when you have social platforms, social media platforms. So like at Pit Talk Podcast 1 at Twitter, right? Or at Pit Talk Podcast at Instagram, or at Pit Talk Podcast YouTube. You know what I mean? Like that's the handle. Okay. At whatever.
So they can find me at my house.
So you don't have any, huh?
I do not.
You limit your experience, which is fair. Because it's nowadays there's a lot of inflammatory things on social media.
Yes.
In layman's terms, I guess, for lack of better words. Well, Staff Sergeant Popkov, if you want to hear about Staff Sergeant Popkov, just hit this like button, subscribe, ladies and gentlemen, and this is the Drill Instructor Session 1. I hope you enjoyed. Hopefully, Staff Sergeant Popkov can get some handles, not in basketball, but social media.
Oh, I was gonna say they sell them at the 7-day store.
Handles? No, they do not. No, they do. Do they for real?
handles of booze. They do.
Oh, that's what you meant.
Yes.
Son of a biscuit. Wow. I got to get my mind out of the gutter.
That's correct.
Hopefully gets some handles. But you are on IG, though.
Yes, I am.
At? Have no idea.
At my iPhone.
Just search Roman Popcorn. I'm sure you'll find him.
There's 3 of us.
There's 3. So you won't. So he's the bald, blue-eyed guy.
There's 3 of us.
No, there's not, for real?
They're for real.
Oh, fudge. That sucks. Do they all have great smiles?
I mean, mine is definitely the best.
Okay, there you go. So the 3 bald, blue-eyed gentlemen.
Except for I'm wearing a mask in my picture, so you can't see my smile.
There it is. So the one with the mask.
Right. That's all 3 of them, though.
Oh, my goodness. Wait, so you have 3 Instagrams?
No, just one.
Just one? Just 3 people that look alike?
Yes.
Are you all from Russia?
I would assume so, yes. One is my cousin, and one
You're stupid.
and one was my recruit.
Wait, that's another one. Let me ask you quick before we quick cut off. Yeah. Do you see your recruits a lot?
I do.
Did they jump for joy when they first saw you? I mean, obviously different ones, different experiences, right? But for the most part,
most of them just ran away. I had to chase them down.
That's PTSD already. Why would you chase them? That's funny. You know, when I saw my drill instructor, I was in Japan in 2014, 15. I had to do a double. We were driving down the main road in Iwakuni, Japan. Driving down the main road, he was running from the bushes. He came out of the bushes, stopped at the sidewalk with those drill instructor eyes, and I said, Minnie, that's my wife, Minnie, can you turn around, please? And so she turned around. I didn't see him on the back end, but then I seen him again. He was gunny. He got promoted, red tab, IT, super intimidating. When I went to introduce myself as Sergeant Garcia, because I was a sergeant at the time, he remembered me. And it was a super weird, awkward moment for both of us because I needed him for McMap.
Wow.
So I went to shake his hand, and it was just kind of like, I know you turd bag. That's what it felt like. Is it?
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
So, and then me meeting my recruits in different stages of my life and DI duty, different roles that I played. It was different hellos and goodbyes for sure. It was, oh my God, it's you again. Those eyes that I'm giving you right now, like I'm super scared. Deer in the headlights.
Oh, I thought you were giving me puppy dog eyes. Is that how you look at your recruits still?
I was only a sugar daddy when I was a senior drill instructor, right?
Exactly.
I had a full head of hair at that point, drinking coffee. I was a normal dude because you got to relate to those guys. How else are you going to keep them in the fight? I didn't drop one.
You probably should have. Maybe 1 or 2.
Oh, whatever. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is Pit Talk, pulling pits and opinions with your host, Ganeshan Garcia, special guest, Staff Sergeant Roman Popkov. Try to look him up. He's got something. I know he follows me somewhere. He follows me on Spotify and Instagram, but he does got something, ladies and gentlemen. Hook him up with a little comment, DM, direct message. Hey, nice job on the session. Get the Q&As. Get the like buttons, ladies and gentlemen. Again, this is Pit Talk, pulling pits and opinions. We are out.
Shooters, you are now in your prep time. Your prep time has ended. With the magazine of 15 rounds, make a condition 1 weapon. Is the line ready? The line is ready. Shooters, firing 5 rounds in a time limit of 60 seconds. Stand by. Contact. Stand by. Contact. Cease fire. Stand by. Contact. Cease fire. Stand.
Pit Talk is a podcast featuring active service members who discuss their thoughts and opinions on various issues surrounding military life, current events, and history. The statements heard here are the opinions of its members and guests. These do not necessarily reflect the views of the Department of Defense and are not endorsed or sponsored in any way. Listener, viewer discretion advised.